This podcast is part of Another Happy Studios,
the home of podcasts with passion.
Are you ready, kids?
I challenge you to a Shaolin showdown.
It's time to duel! 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Club, your number one podcast that explores the weird, the wonderful, the wacky world of cartoons. I'm your host David, and my co-host today is made of sugar, spice, and everything nice. But luckily we left out the chemical X. You know him, you love him, he's got a big monkey brain. It's Brian.
Wait, what? What's the thing about the chemical X?
Chemical X?
Yeah.
Yeah, we left it out, so you're not a Powerpuff Girl. You don't got any special powers, you just got a big monkey brain.
I am
Language, please,
I
Brian.
am absolutely 110% a Powerpuff Girl.
Good luck now bleeping that out, because we don't curse on this show.
Don't you worry about me. I'm a Powerpuff Girl.
Okay, yeah.
For the next hour, I identify as a Powerpuff Girl.
Okay, that's alright then. That's
Alright,
okay.
2 months ago, I identified as an Ed boy. Today, I'm a Powerpuff Girl.
I would have said last week you, or last, what was it, 2 months ago?
A month
ago, you identified as a plank. But
No, that was 2 months ago. I thought you were going to talk about me once going through my monthly period of being a Shaolin monk.
Oh, no, sorry. But this week, you're a Powerpuff Girl. This month, you're a Powerpuff Girl.
Yeah, you could be one too.
Yeah, you know what? I love the Powerpuff Girls. And I'm proud to be a Powerpuff Girl.
Lad, it's okay for guys to like Powerpuff Girls. In fact, I think boys who are children can watch the Powerpuff Girls and not even think about the fact this is girly stuff. This is made for girls. I don't think
Yeah.
they'll even fathom the thought because of how cool they are.
I never thought that as a kid. I never thought... Because there are boy shows and there are girl shows.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be caught dead watching a girl show when you're a boy.
Yeah, because you'd be a
when-
sissy.
Yeah, and when you're a girl, you're not going to watch a boy show because it's gross and it's ooey or whatever. But yeah, when I was a kid and I would watch Powerpuff Girls, I'm like, yeah, but they're superheroes. Like, they're cool. Like, there's no... The fact that they're girls had absolutely nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. And now, as a nearly 30-year-old man, as I sat down to watch Powerpuff Girls, I'm like, yeah, there's nothing girly about this. There's nothing childish about this. They're just superheroes. Like, I love them. They're great. I'm happy to say I'm a proud Powerpuff Girl.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
No.
You're nearly 30.
Yeah, and so are you, okay? Relax, all right? You're like 2 months behind me. It's not like I'm crazy.
I'm 29 for Christ's sake.
Yeah, so am I, but like I'm almost 30, you know? I'm on the right side of 30 so far.
David, in my rewatch of Powerpuff Girls, it's just one of the best Cartoon Network has ever produced.
I think that it is the epitome of what we love so much about Saturday morning cartoons, which is like you sit down and watch any episode and you're good to go. You don't need to have any kind of backstory. Every episode feels as though it's its own contained thing. There's very little actual kind of canon to follow or anything like that. You might get it a little tiny bit as the seasons went on, but every episode was just its own thing.
But you think this stuck out here more than the likes of Grim Adventures or Ed and Eddie or Shaolin Showdown?
Yeah.
Really?
Shaolin Showdown, yeah. What are you talking about? Hold on a minute now. Shaolin Showdown is like, yeah, a consistent arc throughout each season. Like, or like a consistent story where you're keeping up with what Shaolin items
Yeah,
kids have.
I suppose Shaolin Showdown does retain the fact that anything they talk about, it's a 50-50 chance that it was from a previous episode.
Whereas with Powerpuff Girls, every episode I watch, some episodes are like a character's introduction episode, but it doesn't feel like it's this is the first time that we're meeting this character.
Yeah.
It just feels like
They're there.
they're there and they have existed. Even the first episode that we watched, we obviously watched the pilot episode where they get turned into dogs. And I'm like, this isn't the first episode. This couldn't be the first episode because, like, we're not really being introduced into Mojo Jojo.
We're just being shown
We're just
them.
shown that this character exists. And, oh, here are the Powerpuff Girls. And they're already established little girls and little superheroes. And they're just going about it. And there's the mayor calling for help. And it's just like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
I guess this is the start of it.
Yeah,
It's just, we're just going.
Yeah, you're actually making me realise this now, so it's a good thing I'm going to make my point. the first episode of Powerpuff Girls where Mojo Jojo steals the artifact that turns everyone to doggies. There is no origin story of the girls becoming superheroes.
No.
There's no origin story of them establishing a direct line of contact to the mayor to call for emergencies. There is no origin story of how they were created, realistically, because that's pretty much covered in the minute-long opening credits.
I was literally about to say, you don't need to know the Powerpuff Girls origin story they don't need to spend time on it because we get it at the beginning of every episode. Mm-hmm. Sugar, spice, and everything nice. These are the ingredients to create the perfect little girls. And then Chemical X. And then we get into the little speech of, they spend their time defeating the forces of evil and fighting for good. And that's it. And then you get a cool guitar riff. And that's it. That's all the backstory that you really need to know. And it's the first minute of every episode.
One thing you mentioned, Shaolin Showdown, is that they introduced in the opening credits some of the villains.
Yes.
Powerpuff Girls does it here.
Yeah.
They introduced some villains who we don't see not for a good while until we're into the thing. Like, obviously, the likes of Mojo Jojo and him and Fuzzy Lumpkins, they're like introduced into earlier seasons. Mm-hmm. But other characters, like maybe Princess Morbox, she's not until season 2. Mm. She's the only one I can take off the top of my head. But
there's the Germs as well.
Amio Boys.
Gang,
they pop up for relatively early on into the show as well.
Like, when it comes to, say, Shaolin Showdown, there's 5 people that are shown within that opening
6
sequence.
Isn't that?
5 or 6, right?
6, yeah.
And by comparison, Powerpuff Girls has, I'd say, closer to 20 maybe? And
15
or 20, yeah. It's nearly as though they just were like, okay, we're going to make this intro sequence. Let's just draw some characters and we'll get back to them later. Like, if we don't ever get back to them, that's fine. But let's just draw them now and see. And they just come up with all these things like...
I'm sure there was ideas at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure there was some level of it, but it wasn't like, okay, we have to get to this character. But say something like Shaolin Showdown, where you have a giant lizard there, and it's throughout the entire first season, and nothing at all, and then he's introduced in the second season, it's like, okay, surely you must have had something thought of for this character specifically. Whereas, because Powerpuff Girls has so many, it's like, let's just throw some in there, and maybe we'll get to them, maybe we won't.
Yeah, gotta say. The opening credits, the intro sequence, never gets old.
Never skipped it. In my entire watch of the show here now for this episode, didn't skip it once. Because it's just, it's just so iconic.
It is iconic.
Everyone knows it. Mm-hmm. And there's this little element to it that I actually love, where the girls are flying. And it's just a
yeah, like,
and it's Blossom, and then it'll change, and it's Bubbles that's going, and then it's like a much more
a lighter riff,
and then Buttercup's in, and then the guitar's like, and it's like the exact same riff 3 times in completely different ways, and it's like you're encapsulating those characters perfectly. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Well, when it does come around to like making a group of 3 characters, what are they going to, and in the simplest term, even stereotypically, what are they going to emanate in their personalities? Well,
yeah, especially when they have to be sisters, they have to be very relatively close in design.
Yeah.
But when I say close in design, like, they're all the same height, pretty much.
Same shapes,
but
I think at one point they make a point of their eyes. Mm-hmm. The way their eyes look is part of their Powerpuff DNA.
Yeah.
Because at one point Mojo Jojo gets Powerpuff Girls by the use of Chemical X, and his eyes become like Powerpuff, like the girls.
Yeah.
So like that's consistent among themselves because they're not, human. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it does capture their personalities. One well balanced, one
a bit more childlike,
a Democratic, and the other one a Republican. You get where I'm coming from. Like Bubbles is the cute, adorable,
the kind of ditzy one almost. Yeah. Whereas Buttercup is the dark and brooding. But and then Blossom is kind of the leader. But I wouldn't even say that Bubbles is super stupid. She's not stupid or anything like that. And Buttercup is more of a tomboy than like super dark or anything like that.
I'd reckon Bubbles is a little bit. She can be a little too. She is naive for her own good. Like she's just too innocent. Mm-hmm. Whereas Buttercup's darker emotions. She's more hardcore. Mm-hmm. She is the closest thing for boys at the appropriate age watching this show to gear towards she's my favorite.
Yeah, because she's the tomboyish one. She's the closest to being a boy, I suppose.
She's the most masculine out of the lot of them. And of course, like, she's going to be... They kind of resort to her having some of the more cooler stuff. Like, she's the one who's always looking for the action. Like, the first time we're seeing them, they're all in bed asleep, and Buttercup is having a dream fighting someone. You go get him, Buttercup. Because of her personality alone, I think she has some of the better individual stories. Because every once in a while in the Powerpuff Girls show, they do spend an episode's worth story tackling something about them as a person, kind of solidifying their individualism, you know? And I think in my selection of the episodes for this recording, I think this is probably my favourite. I feel like I indirectly created the perfect
little girls.
the perfect little selection of episodes for us both to watch, so we could fully understand everything we will need to know about these characters. Not just Powerpuff Girls, but the villains as well.
What I thought was amazing was with every episode you picked, and I pressed play, I was like, oh yeah, I know this episode. Like, if you had said, name an episode of the Powerpuff Girls, I couldn't have done it. But the fact that the ones you picked, I was watching them, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen this. Oh yeah, I've seen this.
Whether it's a line of dialogue or an animation style or
I just generally remembered the story. And I couldn't tell you the beats of it or anything. I was like, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen here.
I'm trying to think now if there was an episode I chose that I'm going like, yeah, I don't remember this. And there are definitely episodes that I feel like I know I've seen this before. However, it was rarely ever on. I remember like a common Powerpuff Girls episode, I've seen it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Some of them I've seen once, might have missed the start of it. It might have been too much going on for me to pay attention. But I remember, like, I want to see it again because it was cool, and it's rarely ever playing on Cartoon Network.
Yeah. Well, before you go any further, we'll give some backstory to, or some history for the Powerpuff Girls, for anyone that doesn't know who the Powerpuff Girls are. So, the Powerpuff Girls is an American animated media franchise created by animator Craig McCracken and produced by Hanna-Barbera, later becoming Cartoon Network. The franchise originated as a cartoon short called Whoop-Ass Stew in 1992 and centers on Blossom, Bubbles and Buttercup, a trio of genetically engineered young girls with superpowers. The Powerpuff Girls premiered on November 18th, 1998 on the Cartoon Network. It aired for 6 seasons, with its final episode airing on March 25th, 2005. Along with 2 pilots, a feature-length film and 3 specials, a total of 78 episodes were produced. It was nominated for 6 Emmy Awards, 9 Annie Awards and a Kids' Choice Award during its run. The Powerpuff Girls later spawned a film in 2002, an anime adaptation in 2006, a reboot in 2016, an upcoming second reboot, and spanning 33 years, it is Cartoon Network's longest existing franchise.
How do you do it, David?
How do I do it?
Yeah, all the research, all the work you do, the preparation,
Very simple.
even your delivery of it.
Wikipedia.com Powerpuff Girls. Search.
What was that last bit about an upcoming reboot?
Apparently it is being rebooted again. I know that they rebooted it. Now, I didn't watch any of these. I'm almost certain they introduced a 4th Powerpuff Girl in the reboot. Now,
I know this you're talking about. I just want to get ahead of ourselves now by not tarnishing the OG Powerpuff Girls.
I suppose we're not talking about the later one. The same way we didn't talk about Shaolin Chronicles when we talked about Shaolin Showdown. But here's the entry on Wikipedia for the untitled second reboot. On July 18th, 2002, a second Powerpuff Girls reboot was announced with Craig McCracken returning as the creator, director, and producer. The reboot is meant to revisit and expand upon the world of the original series as Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup face off against a variety of old and new villains, and it will be produced by Hanna-Barbera Studios Europe. As of July 2024, the untitled second reboot is in development.
Wow. Okay. There's probably just no point in doing it because they're never going to capture the classic, iconic, just vibe that this original show caught.
Well, yeah. The thing that I would find so different between a Powerpuff Girls reboot now versus Powerpuff Girls back then is that we've gone through how many years of superhero content, whereas Powerpuff Girls existed in a world before like the MCU or DC shared universes or anything like that. The Powerpuff Girls kind of just stood apart as its own thing of these superpowered girls who can do pretty much anything. Like, there's no clearly defined power set for the girls. Like, there's that one episode where the girls try and figure out what Buttercup's special power is because Blossom has freeze breath that the others don't have, and Bubbles can speak Spanish. And
she can speak to animals.
she can speak to animals, and Buttercup can't figure out what it is, and it's just that she could curl her tongue and the other two can't. But it's like the amount of powers that they go through in that 10-minute sequence of just trying to figure out what they can and can't do is like they're unrivaled. Like you try and you know who could have done with the Powerpuff Girls on their side? The boys. They could have really had help with taking down Homelander if they had the Powerpuff Girls on their side.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we see the Powerpuff Girls in a live action environment. Like we've seen many commercials and bloopers before where actual people are interacting with the Powerpuff Girls. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like the Powerpuff Girls were the superheroes of Cartoon Network.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like when we talk about the premium, action-packed, prime-time content on Cartoon Network, it's not Ed, Edd n Eddy.
No.
But one would call Shaolin Showdown, obviously, because of all the battles and back and forth heroics between our heroes and villains. Mm-hmm. But then, how could the Powerpuff Girls not be it either? Mm-hmm. Do you know? We have the modern world, we have a good selection of villains, and, well, I suppose it's a group of characters who are the superheroes, but then that's a bad... How can you not say the same for Shaolin Showdown?
Do you consider it the modern world? I think of it as a kind of a...
I say modern world because they're in the town. They're in Townsville. Whereas in Shaolin Showdown, they are in the middle of... They're in the sticks.
Yeah.
You know, like, they rarely go out to the city.
Yeah. Because I don't know why, but like, even though there's nothing to back this up, I kind of nearly see them as if they're in kind of nearly a retro futuristic world. Kind of like the Jetsons or something like that. But that's not the case. They're in just the city of Townsville.
The professor's apparently born in the 60s.
Yeah. So, like, and then he creates the little girls at, what, let's say 30. So it takes place in the 90s, the time in which it was made.
Yeah, I would reckon so. Back when it was a simpler time, where it's okay to... It was, at the time, appropriate. Some things might not be appropriate now, but at the time it was appropriate for how the Powerpuff Girls show did some of the things they did. Like some darker tones or gendered norm stereotypes between girls and boys. The fact that they can beat the rowdy rough boys by giving them kisses and they get cooties. Pretty much that being one of them, yeah.
But that's not even, that's not something that's like, you can only do that back then. It's kind of like you can do that because they're kids, like...
Yeah.
I'm sure, I'm not frequenting playgrounds these days. I'm sure that is still a thing amongst kids, that you don't want to, be seen to that you like a boy or you like a girl. It's like, no, I don't like them,
I just think these days when it comes to animation, they have a mandate forced into their criteria we need
it's certain things.
We need, like, for lack of a better prepared description or speech, they need to be politically correct. And so that way they have to first be thinking about these boxes they need to tick in terms of the stories they're telling or the characters they include or the social setting, or even if they are politically motivated. Whereas back in the era of Powerpuff Girls, it's just so childlike and awesome, stress-free, all fun, full of games.
There's no real sense of, even though they're fighting the forces of evil, there's no real sense of danger. There's no point where I think, oh, the Powerpuff Girls aren't going to save the day. There's no chance that the villains are going to win.
Well, like, I'm pretty confident in putting forth my thesis in analysing the fact that all the stuff the girls have to deal with in this show takes place entirely in the city of Townsville. Like, when they go to New York, what appears to be New York, Citiesville.
Yeah, they live in the city of Townsville and then they move to the town of Citiesville.
That's the real world.
Yeah.
That is a world where that is too close to our reality and they're not accepted in. Like, they call the professor square. Like, pal, your head is square. That's... Part of me also thinks that's the same day Courage, the cowardly dog, went to the city. But because of some similar settings. But I think everything is just contained in Townsville. So the end of the world kind of scenarios, it's only within the world. It's like
it's only going to happen to Townsville,
yeah. And it secludes its childlike nature in that fact. Like Shaolin Showdown, you believe there's end of the world, there's consequences there. Like, I believe that. I take it more seriously.
Yeah.
This is just action-packed fun, and I think that furthermore captures what we want in a cartoon.
There's so much like cartoon logic. Like
Yes.
that's a great one there. Another one I find that I really love is the fact that Townsville is built on an active volcano.
I kind of missed that part. I know
Where
there's-
Mojo Jojo's lab is, and when
yeah.
they go back in time and we find out that video was like, it's one of the most impressive things about Townsville is the fact that it has an active volcano right in the middle of it. And then they have the video about where they're all like, go up, if you're looking for something to do, why not go to the top of the volcano and throw stuff in? It's so much fun. Like, that's just such cartoon logic that, oh yeah, of course there's a volcano there, because the girls might have to deal with that exploding one of the days.
I knew I was right to include that episode in the selection. So, you're a fan.
I am. I am. I am.
All right, then.
I felt like I was leading to something there that I
No,
wasn't.
But
I am
like,
a fan.
but,
Yeah.
but that captures the simplicity of it all. Like, I remember watching Blade 2, and Norman Reedus has the Powerpuff Girls on in the background. I'm like, my guy. But that's a cool thing. Like, I remember even before I even met you, but long after I stopped watching the likes of these shows, probably the start of the MCU days, I remember like coming across some YouTube videos and talking about the Powerpuff Girls. I think it was before they rebooted it, but there were talks about reboot. It's like, yes, go back to these characters. I love these characters. It's such a cool session where every episode deals with them fighting and battling a foe they've dealt with hundreds of times before, or a new foe altogether. And there's not too many of those where we have the introduction of a new foe that kind of is like a mainstay then. Like, all that is cleared off in the first season, pretty much, and it kind of retains its own session. And I think this is probably the most fun rewatches I've had now. I think I've enjoyed myself watching the Powerpuff Girls more than Eddie.
The Powerpuff Girls is something that it's kind of nearly stayed with me all throughout my life, in that like certain things will have just like become part of my vocabulary, or like I'll reference or anything like that. Like if I'm reading a recipe out loud to someone, I'll read out the recipe and then I'll go, oh, but wait, chemical X, and I'll like I'll just throw that in places. I remember when I was a kid, I used to have this friend in primary school, and his little sister was called Molly. We called her Mojo Jojo, and she used to hate it. And I just remember us calling her Mojo Jojo, and I will sometimes say that to myself. I go, Mojo Jojo. But there's so many like just little things that you carry with you, and the Powerpuff Girls has been a very small thing that I've carried with me. I remember I tried to make t-shirts at one point, and what I would do is I get iron-on patches and put them on t-shirts.
Look, you the little creative entrepreneur.
I got a Powerpuff Girls one. I got a pink t-shirt and put the Powerpuff Girls on it. Yeah, I used to have a pink t-shirt with like just the 3 girls on the front. And I was like, watching it around this time, I was like, I'd wear the Powerpuff Girls on a t-shirt. I may have Googled a few products to see how could I represent my girls.
I'm not gonna lie, I did think about what memorabilia or what little knickknacks I could get that would have the girls on it, like a keychain or something hanging in the car, or like a phone cover even. Like, the fact that I've thought about this for the Powerpuff Girls over Ed and Eddie, which is the hype I've talked on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I actually realised how much I love the Powerpuff Girls.
I agree with you in what you said there about like this has been your most fun rewatch.
Yeah.
I agree. While I loved watching Shaolin Showdown, that's kind of different because I felt like I was watching. I watched the whole show, and like there was a great sense of completion having watched it from start to finish. And there are some small story arcs and different things going on.
I felt like that was something you had to pay attention to. It felt like a mission there, whereas this,
yeah, every episode is like a 10-minute bite-sized chunk, and you know it's going to be wrapped up within 10 minutes, and it doesn't feel as though it's a chore to watch them. I'm happy to watch.
it's what
girls.
kids watch.
Yeah.
Like, this is made for kids. Like, duh.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's something that I would be happy to sit, if I had a child, to sit them down and go, you're watching Powerpuff Girls.
yeah, this is something kids these days, like toddlers, should be watching. Like, unfortunately, you probably have to YouTube it. But this is one that ought to be watched. Like, even some of the darker episodes as well, which I'm sure at the time was very acceptable, but I don't think we'd be getting dark tones like the ones we found here being made today.
What did you find as a particularly dark
Well,
toned episode?
I'm not gonna lie, David, I kept a bit of a record of the episodes we watched, and I kind of drew a little note into it there. I wrote a few notes that I kind of wanted to touch on, and not to be going in order, but like just to make sure I don't forget it if I really wanted to. Well, like the darker ones are the ones I remember the most, and so one of them is obviously with Hymns. Oh, sorry, not Hymns' introduction, but it's his like the second episode we have on this list, because I included the episode he's introduced when he, I suppose, possesses Octi to convince Bubble to get Buttercup and Blossom to go against each other.
Yeah.
But the second one is when he made everyone in Townsville hate the Powerpuff Girls. And so I just remember that image of the professor with the red eyes just walking up to him, ready to grab them. They won't use the word kill, but like destroy them.
Yeah.
And so they have to fight back by fighting everyone else. And they use the simple excuse, our friends would never do this to us, so they're not our friends. And so they beat the evil out of them.
I'm glad that you said that, because I agree. Any episode where whenever he showed up, I was like, okay, this one's going to be a little bit more serious than, I suppose, when Mojo Jojo turns up.
Why would one think that, David?
Well, yeah, like...
How is him not the devil?
Yeah, like that's the character design of a red, like
pointy ear, claw-handed, kind of
nearly non-binary character. Like there's no, even though his name is him, I never felt like as a kid I was like, oh, that's a boy or that's a girl. Like he's a very effeminate.
I never look at him and say you're a male.
Yeah, it's very ambiguous. I mean, I think it's intended to be ambiguous.
He comes across as flamboyant, do you know? And it's intentional. I think that adds to his non-binary gender, if that's how you can word it. But
I would describe him as androgynous, like just.
I'm not going to remember that word.
everything and nothing at the same time, kind of.
Yeah, whereas Mojo Jojo is very straightforward and more of a simple but primary one. Like Mojo Jojo is the main villain.
Oh yeah, when I think Powerpuff Girls, I think Mojo Jojo as it's their main antagonist.
But I'll get to him in a minute. But another dark episode, right? And I know you're gonna. How could this not be probably the darkest episode? It's Speed Demon. It's when they all race home, and they race to the future, 50 years, and they go to the professor, and he's haunted with hallucinations. And then they go to Miss Bellum in the mayor's office, and she's pining over the mayor being gone, and like she's just like an old raggedy witch. And then to school, Miss Keane, and she's standing there as if she never moved.
Yeah, she's just still waving bye to the girls.
All haunted for the last 50 years because the Powerpuff Girls were not there. That's dark. If not, as in it, I feel like him's true form came out, being all gigantic in size and being more monstrous, more evil looking, less approachable. Do you know, every time him is in an episode, I was never scared, even though him is definitely the most evil Powerpuff Girl villain. I was never scared of him being the foe of the episode because he was very approachable. Even when him goes to like any of the girls, that it's so very sad, isn't it? Yes, with his augmented voice, he will belittle the girls and appear to be very like sad for them. But he's the one who's doing it. Yeah, there's a little bit of Pennywise the clown.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Because of how Pennywise will mock the children being afraid for their lives, and he'll mock, oh, it's so very sad, I'm going to eat you now. I think him was probably my favourite villain growing up.
I would think that it was Mojo Jojo for me, but him is probably he's up there. All right, yeah, one of the most memorable.
Well, as of right now, he's number 2. I think he's number 2. In fact, if they were ever to do another movie, let's say, for example, I think him should be the villain.
Yeah.
Have Mojo Jojo in there as a reluctant ally temporarily, but him would be the antagonist. I think there's, for all they did with him, there is not enough with him. And I wanted to make sure that I included the best episodes with him. I wanted to include his introductory episode. That's what my thinking was for a lot of these villains. I felt like I had to get at least 2 episodes where the same villain shows up.
Yeah.
And that was with him, And another one was the Rowdy Rough Boys. Their introductory episode, and what I would like to believe their final episode, which is when they return for the first time. Like, you have the three Powerpuff Girls. Like, obviously, at some point, it's got to be given that you're going to have their opposites.
Oh yeah, come on! Like, when you literally have three superpowered girls that are made from sugar, spice, and everything nice, of course you're going to do the complete opposite, and you're going to make three bad boys that are made from what is it?
Nails,
snails, and waggly dog tails or something like that.
Something like that, to that extent. That's what Mojo did to create them, and then him made...
And he doesn't even have chemical X. He's like, I'm sure there's something in this prison that resembles it, and like he gets stuff from the toilet. Like, come on, of course they're going to be evil.
But like their first introduction, their episode, like that's when Miss Bellum of all people goes to tell the girls, I think you should use a different tactic and kill them with kindness. And then all of a sudden the girls have eyelashes and they're smiling, and I like that they didn't forget Buttercup's kind of like personality, where she hates that and she's spitting it out, whereas the other two think, oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Do you know? But in the other episode, in this watch list, where they come back and even Blossom says it, they've met their match, and him has done his magic to not have their kill them with kindness strategy be effective on them. But in an unexpected way, they kill him with masculinity, which is another kind of like social norm that some lads might actually do have issues with. That some lads have an ego with them where their masculinity can be threatened by the simple things, and that's something that's still relevant today. But it's just kind of funny to see it addressed nearly 20 years ago in a children's cartoon like this. And I remember watching this episode for the first time years ago, and I remember thinking, this is actually very serious. This is a 20-minute episode, and for the most part, the Rowdy Rough Boys have the upper hand the whole time. The girls have met their match. They're hiding, and it's not really fun to watch the girls be in peril for such a long period of time. And so when they do get the upper hand, and I like that it's Buttercup watching them torture Bubbles that gets her, and all of a sudden they have the upper hand, they take him out, and then him comes back and removes them from existence, and that to me is a fitting end for them. But obviously they appear in other episodes down the line, but sure, that's just cartoon logic. But like, they're not the best, villains.
No,
like
there was one set of villains that you didn't include in your list, and I was like, how could you leave these guys out? And for me, it's the three bank robbers that dress up like the Powerpuff Girls, and I don't even think you watched this episode, but they're going around and they're robbing banks as the Powerpuff Girls, but because it's the cartoon logic where even though they're three fully grown men dressed up like the three girls, people just see them as the girls, and so they
don't see the human like arms and legs.
No, they just see Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. Even so much that when they are confronted by the Powerpuff Girls later on in the episode, the Powerpuff Girls can't tell them apart, so they end up hitting each other by mistake. So Blossom accidentally punches Buttercup, but then vice versa, the male Bubbles hits Blossom, and they go, okay guys, this is too difficult, why don't we just fight our exact counterparts? Because they were able to tell, that's me, I'm gonna fight me. And I just love that like cartoon logic of something that we, the audience, like, oh, well, like, come on. But them in the show is like, oh, we can't tell the difference. Like, they're so exactly alike.
Do you remember in Spider-Man Homecoming when Spider-Man intercepts bank robbers robbing a bank, and they're
exactly that.
They're wearing the Avengers masks, and he goes, "Hey guys, wait a minute, you're not the Avengers." I can tell. Hulk gives away. A live action scenario of that is those bank robbers coming onto the street during an alien invasion, and the citizens of New York plead for
thank
their
God,
help.
Here are the Avengers.
And then they're like, okay, well, I suppose we better do what we can do. But like, that's the equivalent. That's as close as an equivalent we could get. But I suppose memorable their appearance would be in the world of Cartoon Network. It never stood out for me. I didn't think it was necessary. I was conscious of time in the rewatch, and I wanted to make sure that I felt like everything else that we watched took priority over it.
Maybe it's because those versions of the Powerpuff Girls, as in the male versions, it's something that I predominantly see them in tattoo versions, where normally it would be 2 sisters and a brother, and the 2 sisters will get, say, Blossom and Buttercup, and then the male will get the Bubbles, but as the manly one, as in like, oh, I'm hiding, I'm pretending to be one of the Powerpuff Girls because I'm a boy.
Yeah.
And I always see it like that, and I just find that so funny.
But yeah, no, it's I never experienced that. Like, obviously, we didn't grow up in the same household, if you can believe it. Like, we both have had our own individual viewing parties of these respective cartoons, you know, and I like that we can come together and chat about these, and we can bring our own stories to it.
Yeah, like there's one episode that even though all the other episodes are like, oh, I couldn't tell you what happens, there was one episode that we watched that I was like, yeah, this is when I think Powerpuff Girls, I think this episode.
And what's that?
It's the one where we find out that Mojo Jojo was the lab assistant for Professor Utonium. And I think the reason why I remember it so well is because I do love the trope of that the villain makes the hero, or the hero makes the villain.
Yeah.
And it was one episode I don't think I actually watched, was the one where they go back in time, and it's revealed that Mojo Jojo is actually responsible for creating the Powerpuff Girls twice. Because he is the one that gives Professor Utonium the inspiration, because the girls go back in time to stop Mojo Jojo. So if Mojo Jojo hadn't been there, he never would have got the inspiration to create the Powerpuff Girls. And I loved that the narrator as well at the end was like, and for the second time, the day is saved by Mojo Jojo for creating the Powerpuff Girls.
They're paying attention. They're not forgetting it.
No.
But I love that fact that it further solidifies how entangled Mojo Jojo is to the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
Like
And he's the one that forced Professor Utonium, he pushed him, and that's what knocked the chemical X into the vat of sugar, spice, and everything nice.
If you could see a world where the Powerpuff Girls permanently dispatch and defeat all their foes to the point where they're thinking about actually getting real jobs and not remaining superheroes for the rest of their lives, Mojo Jojo is someone who will always be in their lives. Because for better or for worse, if he's retired from trying to take over the world, which is just the city of Townsville, he is, in a roundabout way, which is not really explored in the show, their brother.
Yeah.
He is their brother.
Yeah, because he was just a regular monkey until the explosion, and then he became...
The Chemical X made Mojo Jojo who he is now, just like Chemical X made the girls. And, like, obviously they made a joke. Yeah, see you later, Dad. It's the little fun gags, the little jokes, the little sly remarks. Knowing, hey, yeah, thanks for creating us, and they'll laugh that off. And Mojo's having an existential crisis about it. It's like, all this is my fault. All the problems I have in my life are my own fault.
Yeah, and I love that it's twice over.
Yeah. Why was he walking by the school with grocery shopping?
I don't know. It's, again, cartoon logic. Yeah, why was he there? And then in that episode, he's appearing at the back of the class dressed up as, just a woman. And again, the cartoon logic of, I'm sure that all the characters just see an old woman there.
I think she was actually, was it an old woman or one of the kids?
Or maybe it was one of the kids,
I think it was one of the kids.
But they don't see anything other than just the kid.
No, they don't see the monkey face.
No.
Or the big, long, massive brain.
No.
Do you know, I don't mind jumping back and forth with the likes of Mojo and that, but I did want to touch up on some of the villains they have before actually focusing on the Professor and the girls. I indirectly created a bit of an arc with the Gangrene Gang. And that's why I asked you, do you just want to watch this last episode here? What do you make of them? As iconic as Mojo, Jojo and him are, I think the Gangrene Gang are like third up there.
It's funny, because exactly like you said, where we grew up in 2 different houses, I wouldn't have said that.
Really?
Yeah, so I didn't quite remember them.
So who's number 3 for you then?
I would have said the Amoeboys. I would remember them.
The germs.
Yeah, I would remember them stronger than I would the Gangrene Gang.
They are in less episodes, I believe. Like the Gangrene Gang, like the first episode, I think they are introduced. Buttercup takes a liking to Ace, which is kind of showing her sensitive side, bit of vulnerability nearly. She actually never talks throughout the entire episode until she says sorry at the end. And then, in fact, the last episode I had you watch of them, that's the first time they referenced that. Bubbles mentions,
"Are you over them?"
Yeah. And then she plays it off as like, stop bringing up old stuff. Like, I like that. Like, she knows what she did was wrong or not right, or she doesn't like to look back on her naivety on that, you know? I like that after all the interactions they've had with the Gangrene Gang, it's now in their probably most pivotal episode where they've teamed up with Sedusa, that they bring up that joke. Yeah, Buttercup, remember when you were in love with one of them? And like she'll be all embarrassed. And
Well, I would actually think that the episode where they get superpowers from the candy, that's their most pivotal episode, where they're the ones that are going to win the day. It's very right up until the end when
they lose their powers.
When they lose their powers.
I won't say that because that feels like a run of the mill.
Well, that's just for me. That's the one where I think, oh, these guys are going to get the upper hand here.
Upper hand maybe, but think about the development the Gangrene Gang have. Like after all this time, they've been shoved into the category of the evil villains committing evil. But in this episode where they've teamed up with Sedusa, they've acknowledged. Blossom says it herself. They're just teenage boys causing a nuisance. They're
not a criminal syndicate or something.
They just need to get a job. Like that's kind of funny to see that. And I think I like him, and of course I like Mojo Jojo, but I think these guys were cool, you know. And I really love the episode where they save Big Billy from being hit by the train, and all of a sudden he just starts hanging out with them, and he's like, yeah, Professor just lets a stranger up into their room, and like he's doing all his best to help Big Billy and Big Billy saved the day, and then he runs back home to the guys and like, oh hey Billy, didn't you get hit by the train?
Yeah, they'd write him off. It's like, oh yeah, he's just gone.
Yeah, in their little shack hideout. I even feel bad like when Big Billy saved them in the end, that they still beat him up. Like, no, this is an episode where the Gangrene Gang, or at least Billy, was doing something good. And in the episode where they do team up with Sedusa, that episode ends with them kind of like leaving on good terms with the Powerpuff Girls. Do you know? I think that's quite a development for them as a collection of characters. Do you not think?
Yeah, I mean, like, how many characters or how many villains do we see change and like go to nearly the side of good almost?
None.
Like, none, exactly. So to have any kind of development for the villains is something at least. Yeah,
like these are close. Like, I know you can Google fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, no thanks. That's a clip on YouTube somewhere. If you Google that for the Powerpuff Girls, because he rejects Sedusa. Because honestly, these guys, in the hands of a decent writer, you can make a movie about these guys, or you can make a TV show about these guys, how they come from poor backgrounds where they're unappreciated, and they amongst themselves are their own family, kind of like the Ed Boys in a roundabout way. And for some reason, they're not dying from gangrene.
No, of course not. It's all the candy they're eating. They're fine.
But another one was Sedusa. What did you make of her? Did you remember her?
No, I didn't, to be honest with you.
You didn't?
No.
Well, what did you? I obviously included her introductory episode and like what was her closing episode. But the most famous episode, I think, was the most we get of her fighting Miss Bellum. Do you remember that episode at all?
I remember, watching it in this rewatch. I don't remember watching it as a kid or anything like that, but
the fight between
them, where she gets her hair cut off and proper thrown about the place. I like whenever we get like a character who's kind of steps outside their traditional role, and Miss Bellum is normally, I mean, she's the mayor's assistant that we never see her face for, and
a common trope in a lot of cartoons where they have a character who we only see from the neck down. We never see their face.
And it's comedically done in some aspects where it's like, okay, what can we even put in front of her face? Or like, we're going to make our hair all frizzy so we can have a full shot of her, but still we only see her hair. We don't see her face or anything like that.
And to retain that kind of thinking, when they did all their body swapping, when Blossom was actually Miss Bellum, they presented Blossom from the neck down, keeping with that tradition. Like, oh, well, she's Miss Bellum now, so we can't
see her face.
She has to be from the neck down. But I really love that episode. I love Miss Bellum too, and whatever relationship she is to the girls. Like, she's like a bit of a, not a motherly figure, but
but a woman to look up to.
A woman to look up to, like an aunt to seek guidance in a roundabout way. You know?
I always felt like she was much more of a, like, you have the mayor and you have Miss Bellum, and I always like, okay, Miss Bellum is the one that's making.
She's the one making
decisions. Yeah, and the mayor is just that figurehead nearly.
Absolutely, yeah. But
he's the mayor's job is to call the Powerpuff Girls. He has to ring them. That's it. That's all he can be trusted with.
Yeah, the mayor is he's Tom Kenny.
A very recognizable voice. As soon as I heard it.
Yeah, him and Tara Strong are like some of the pillars of cartoon voices in from our childhood. Like, he's just the mayor, isn't he? There's no other name for him.
The mayor, yeah.
The mayor, yeah.
The mayor.
Kind of iconic in his own right as well. Yeah,
One of the most iconic character I found this time around was the narrator. I found that the narrator was like just a perfect level of, if we're going to break the fourth wall, then the narrator is going to do it. Like, it's very rare that anyone else within the show is breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's grand because it's all done by the narrator.
Like, even when everyone hated them, even the narrator hated them.
Yeah.
And Mojo turned him into a dog. There is actually one episode I didn't include in here because I didn't think the episode was worth it, but I suppose the end scene was. They defeated Mojo and they saved the day. But the episode didn't end. And they heard muffling in a closet, and the girls go in and they come towards the camera to someone's POV, and they remove tape, and it's the narrator speaking. Mojo kidnapped the narrator and tied him in the closet, and he just starts speaking. The narrator, Tom Kenny, he just starts speaking, and like, oh, thank you. Now, once again, the day is saved, and the girls are just watching them in shock. And it's like, what are you? Like, are we in an artificial world? Are we in a cartoon?
Yeah, because they never really reference the narrator or anything like that. The narrator absolutely makes reference on what's going on.
The narrator is the watcher.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And I quite like the fact that every episode ends, and once again, the day is saved by, and it's not always the Powerpuff Girls.
No.
Sometimes it's by Miss Bellum, or it's the
Gangrene Gang.
or there's even the episode where they make another Powerpuff Girl, Bunny, and she explodes and dies. And like, he gives it the day saved, and he's like crying, and it's like by Bunny that comes up, and it's like, oh yeah, like there's a formula to this, but it's not a very strict formula. We don't have to always have the day saved by the Powerpuff Girls.
That's another one I wanted to ask you in terms of a dark episode, like to actively kill a character.
Yeah, and there's no return for that character, is there?
Nope,
No.
not in the slightest. That character, I kind of feel like they presented her as with disabilities, and that's not something you're gonna get today.
No.
It's heavy, it's emotional. Like, imagine showing that to your kids and like they start crying. It's like, how can a parent...
How do you explain that?
Yeah. How can you explain that? Because I think Bunny's the only character to die, and she's more innocent than Bubbles. And Bubbles is as innocent as they go. There's some episodes I just wanted to bring up here that I really love, and like, I've literally left a note. Probably one of my favorite episodes. One of them being when the girls are given a curfew, and so they have to be...
And the clocks go back, yeah.
I love how determined the professor was in making sure that they stayed asleep, and that he rips the phone from the cord, and he says, good night, girls. Like, he's even giving out to them. And like, these girls with godlike powers are still being treated like little girls, and they answer to their father.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Professor Utonium, while he is the girl's father, he's the girl's creator. Like, you know, there's that joke where the professor's old college roommate comes to visit, and he makes later on he makes the other knockoff Powerpuff Girls, and he makes the comments like, oh, you made these girls? And he was like, yeah, like, in a way, you know, it's like he's saying like, oh, as in you're their dad, and he's like, well, I made them in my lab, yes, you know. So they kind of do play around with that whole relationship of it, but like, don't forget that this is just a man who all of a sudden is thrown into being a father of 3 girls who are all fully grown. Or not fully grown, but he doesn't have 3 babies. He just got 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds.
They're 5.
Yeah, and he just has to deal with it. And so he's trying his best to be a good father, but also a strict father. And how do you do that when the 3 little 5-year-olds that just appeared one day also have superpowers and can run rings around the earth? The girls have to be in bed by 7:30. And don't get me wrong, the girls can be a little bratty sometimes. They can be a little bold. They're never evil or anything like that. They're fighting for the forces of good. And they follow the rules. If they're told that their bedtime is 7:30, it's 7:30. If the professor says no superpowers, they walk. You know, they follow the rules. But then you get little episodes like where the professor is sleepwalking and he's stealing toys for the girls. And they're like, hee, okay, let's get some more toys. Like, they can do some bad things too sometimes.
Yeah. You know the dark episode where they actually believe the professor was killed? Something to learn about, wasn't it?
Which one was that now?
That one where Professor was actually stealing toys, and
sorry, in that one,
when he staged it.
When they staged it.
To
I
teach
like
them
the
a
fact that the mayor's like, oh, it's okay, girls, you can have the toys, and they're like, no, we need to learn our lesson. I was like, good. I'm glad they didn't just like come out on top of that episode.
Speaking of his old college roommate, I love how immediately dad mode the professor switches up to standing up for his girls, saying, don't be speaking to my girls about them being just products to sell. Like, there is daughters. There's
He
children.
loves them. There's children, exactly. They may be experiments, but...
But like, doesn't any viewer just love seeing that? Like,
Oh yeah, anytime a father or like a parent stands up for their kid, you love to see it. Like you want to see that. You want to see the love from a parent to a kid. That's not just them saying, "Oh, I love you." It's like, show me it as well.
yeah.
You know, and that's a great
and
example
kind
of
of
it.
make a bit of animosity about it, you know? Throw a threat in there.
Yeah, there's this thing of like, oh, I die for someone, you know? It's like, sometimes you don't want to see that. You want to see, no, I'd kill for these people. It's slightly different, but it's like, no, I'd die for you, but I'd kill for you.
That's one of the feelings, that's one of the things I kind of got in that episode there. But another episode I also really loved, and these are like non-canonical major episodes here. Like one of them is when it was a rainy day and they just spend the rest of the episode indoors playing pretend, and like even again they're playing pretend with Miss Bellum, and Blossom is being seen from the neck down, and Bubbles being the
They get upset because no one wants to be Blossom, or no one wants to be
no
Bubbles.
one wants to be Bubbles. Yeah, and they make the professor be Bubbles, and the way he's dressed up as well, and then fly, zap, bye. I just love those little moments as well. It's like, yeah, we've all had rainy days where we can't go outside, so
Yeah,
we just
use your imagination.
yeah, and play indoors. Like I really like that episode, and then,
That's great because that's again showing that these Powerpuff Girls are, at the end of the day, they're just kids. They're just girls. Yes, they have superpowers, but like they're kids at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's exactly what would happen in our real life society.
Yeah.
Another really great episode, I briefly mentioned it, was the body swapping. It's one I can not remember so much, but when Buttercup wakes up in the professor's body and the professor in Buttercup's body, and then the other girls are Miss Bellum and the mayor, I don't know why, I just really like that. It's kind of like body swapping in the sense that you wake up physically as someone else, you know? Like, Buttercup woke up from her bed in the professor's body.
Yeah, rather than the mind swapped, the
Yeah.
physical body swapped. It's not like Bubbles woke up and she's in the mayor's bed. It's like the mayor's body woke up in the girl's bed.
Yeah.
It's like the bodies have actually swapped.
I really like that episode. And another episode was when they actually pretended to be traditional looking superheroes like Wonder Woman.
I did
or
like that
Spawn,
one.
or do
Yeah.
you remember seeing that one?
I remember that one as a kid, yeah. And
Especially with Buttercup. And then
I liked the idea behind that as well, where the monster is given out because he's like, it's a rite of passage to come to Townsville, and if you somehow survive the Powerpuff Girls, the mighty Powerpuff Girls, you come back as a hero. And it's like, can you guys stop playing pretend and be actual superheroes? But I love Buttercup just sitting in the dark. It's like, are you going out there? It's too bright. Like, she's essentially the Spawn or the Batman of it all.
Yeah.
And you know what, actually? Blossom reminded me a lot of Homelander in her little outfit.
Really?
Yeah, I just thought maybe because Homelander is like literally the American flag on his back and the eagles on his shoulders.
I always took her as pretty much the...
Oh no, she is definitely supposed to be a Wonder Woman knockoff, but
Yeah.
she reminds me of Homelander.
Do you know what another episode I thought was pretty cool? It's in the later seasons, when the burglar, just a random guy.
I'd never seen that one. That one's a new one to me.
I remember seeing it once, and they try. It's a given episode of any given cartoon. Travel back in time. So someone else wanting to be like them, but they can't because they're being rejected. Primarily speaking, Princess Morbucks. All right. There's all these traditional tropes of storytelling in these given cartoons. One of them, can't let this person wake up, and they're trying to battle with someone, and so they have to keep the professor safe. And rather than bring him to the police at the very end, they just kick him out. Like, I like that this random guy who's a mere burglar from out of town who has no knowledge of the Powerpuff Girls, they have to deal with him for an episode length. And you mentioned it earlier, the Nothing Special episode with Buttercup trying to figure out special powers. Buttercup is my favourite Powerpuff Girl, and watching an episode where she didn't find her special power, kind of like, no, you're rooting for them, you want them to find.
She got her special power.
Yeah, and yes, okay, I'm getting to it.
I thought you were going to say that curling her tongue wasn't her special power.
It absolutely is her special power because no one else can do it. And I like that the creators of this show, Craig McCracken, identified this common thing that a lot of people can do, but no one else in Townsville can do.
Not even the narrator, no.
No, but Buttercup can do. And Buttercup is happy enough with that. It doesn't need to be special. It's actually...
It doesn't need to be a superpower.
Yeah.
Just it's only she can do it.
Yeah, and that's what makes it special for her. And I love that for her. And, you don't want to see them,
Now here's the question,
being defeated.
Brian.
Yeah.
Can you do it?
I absolutely can do it.
Show me.
Can you do it?
Yeah, show me. We'll do it now at the same time. Ready? On the count of 3. One, two, three. Okay.
Yeah.
I can confirm Brian can do it.
I can confirm Dave can also do it.
Okay.
I definitely Googled it. Is this a common thing?
I thought you were going to say, I Googled how to do it.
No.
It's one of those things, you can just do it or you can't. Can you at home? Can you, the listener, do it? Do it now on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. You can't do it, can you?
I love the shock of Blossom and Bubbles.
Wait, what is that?
How did
How
you
do you do that?
What? I can just always do it.
Yeah, it's something she's not even thought about.
It just comes to her second nature. And then there was the Octagon. Some call this one of the last episodes or the last episode. I don't know for sure, but like I just threw it in there as well. Like I kind of like it, and some of the newer episodes is kind of good to see a fresher paint of animation on them, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the older. I don't know. I for some reason some of these things they feel better because they're imperfect. The imperfections make it more.
Yeah.
Than when it's shinier and there's less. I don't know. There's something about like seeing the Powerpuff Girls in SD versus HD. I just much prefer to see them in the SD.
Simpler times, David. One last thing I wanted to touch on was the movie itself. Did you ever watch the movie?
No.
You never did?
No.
Okay. I remember this got a theatrical release.
Really?
I think it was one of the first Cartoon Network. Actually, it probably is the only Cartoon Network theatrical release. Bombed at the box office, absolutely. And I think I recall watching it on a random given scene, probably in the third act, and thinking, this one feels different. And lo and behold, it's the movie. And I knew straight away, based on some of the things that were happening, it didn't feel well into their existence. What did you make of the fact that the movie is a prequel? We've already sussed out the origins of the Powerpuff Girls. We have an opening credit dedicated to it. But now we have a movie dedicated to it. And normally I'm one who likes to go forward, like the Ed, Edd n Eddy movie.
Yeah, it's the finale of the
Yes,
show. Yeah,
that is the proper finale. And I view this Powerpuff Girls movie as something to kind of finish the show on, but it is not the finale.
No, it's
in fact,
the beginning.
It is the beginning. In fact, the Powerpuff Girls doesn't really have an ending, but at least it has something to end on. Something similar to the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Sheldon Showdown has an ending.
Yeah. The thing is that sometimes when it comes to like a TV show getting a movie adaptation, you kind of go, why? What is the reason why this story has to be told as a movie instead of a TV show? And I quite liked it. I suppose there's some schools of thought where, do I want a definitive ending to this? Or do you like the idea that it's still going on, just we can't see it, you know? And I think that with the Powerpuff Girls, I would much prefer what we got to something that was like, oh, this is the end of this is the finale movie.
Yeah.
I like the idea that, okay, let's go back and let's expand on the beginnings of this. And you get to see that with, you know, not even just the beginnings of the girls, but like the beginnings of the relationships between characters, with Professor Utonium and him discovering that the girls have superpowers and how immediately he embraces the girls. But then you see the fact that all the people of Townsville hate the Powerpuff Girls, and something over the whole course of the series is how the Powerpuff Girls can do no wrong. The Powerpuff Girls, like, no matter how much destruction they do, it's fine because the town loves them and the mayor loves them and they are literally the perfect little girls. Versus when we're in the movie, when they're introduced to the town, they're treated as bug-eyed mutants who cause destruction and nobody wants anything to do with them.
Things we've never seen before. Until
they save the day and we get to see, oh, these girls are actually the embodiment of good and let's fight evil. So I thought that, you know, I would much prefer what we got versus an actual finale. This is the end of the Powerpuff Girls.
On that point, you did make me realise, yeah, Ed and Eddie, it's ended.
It's over,
It's over. We know how it ends. Whereas the Powerpuff Girls, they're still going on. They're still continuing.
As we learned in this episode, there's another reboot coming.
But like they're still out there in Townsville saving the day yet again. So I kind of like that part. I kind of like the idea that there is no ending. There is a last episode, but there is no ending. They're still going. And on that point, the Powerpuff Girls movie made me appreciate the concept of a prequel. Who would have thought? The fact that, you can find enjoyment in how we learn the norms became established. How the girls... I'm not talking about how the girls were created. I'm talking about how the girls were established to be superheroes.
Yeah.
Talking about their first interaction with the likes of the Gangrene Gang, who they perceive as these monstrous, evil bullies who will beat them up and leave them on the street. Versus how they dealt with them at the end of the movie, where we can take you on. Like, they're like kids versus teenagers. That's how the Gangrene Gang are to the Powerpuff Girls. And I like how that was established. And then in our first meeting with Mojo Jojo, kind of toying with that idea where they are cut from the same cloth. They both come from Chemical X. They are siblings. I like that idea. It's just that Mojo Jojo's rejection from Townsville and the Professor is what pushed him to become a villain. And he's happy being that. I like that being explored, but we've explored it now. That's why, like I said, if we were to get another movie, retain that fact, have him a reluctant ally for the Powerpuff Girls, and maybe give him some sort of redemption arc, like a Jack Spicer at the end of the arc with Raimundo being bad.
Yeah.
But follow through with it and have him be the villain of the next movie. But I really like the movie, and I there's some moments here I'm paying attention to this. It's the first time they meet Mojo Jojo and they identify similarities amongst themselves. But it's when the Professor kind of rejected them, he didn't know what to think, and they all fly away to space, and they're sitting on the space rock, and they're rejected.
And they can breathe in space because they're 2D animated.
That's exactly the point, David. They are 2D animated. And did you forget to note that they are not human?
No, they're superheroes.
They are superheroes.
Perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yes, they are...
May I put this blanket statement upon it? It's a cartoon. Anything can happen.
Good point, David. But there's no music in this scene. There is no score. There's no songs. There's no sound effects. It's just quiet. And the girls' dialogue back and forth. Bubbles crying, Buttercup being angry, and Blossom and Buttercup having an argument about it. And they're fighting. And then they just get Tick rejecting it. And then Bubbles is saying, do you hear that? But we don't hear anything. But we keep cutting back to what's going back on Earth. Bubbles can hear it. We can't, because we are like the humans with them, but they're the Powerpuff Girls. They can hear and do anything. And I like that the Professor being in trouble is what immediately propels them back down to Earth and to save the day. And Buttercup knocking the girl out kind of like aggressively, she immediately went, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. And she's all like tongue-tied, and Blossom encourages her with that. I love the movie dealing with all these like kind of origins with these characters and what we know of these characters. And it's all fun. Any thoughts?
No, I agree.
Oh, great.
Absolutely.
Professor Utonium's a great father, isn't he?
He is. He really steps up for, like I said earlier, he's really thrust into this world.
Ready to be a parent.
Yeah.
Tom Kane, who voiced him, passed away recently.
Oh, I didn't realise.
Yeah. Yeah, shame. There was this clip going online that I see where the three voice actors who voiced the girls are sitting with an older Tom Kane, and they're like using their voices of the girls, shouting at Professor, Professor, Professor. Like I think it's one of those cartoon cons where all the things from Cartoon Network came together.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Cartoon Network coming together, I've got some of these other
way.
points that I need to do. The Powerpuff Girls have appeared in 19 video games, 13 being dedicated Powerpuff Girls games, and 6 being spin-offs or crossover games such as Lego Dimensions and Cartoon Network Racing. They've also appeared in multiple comic books and have made brief cameos and been referenced in other Cartoon Network shows such as Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Chowder, Samurai Jack, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Steven Universe, and Teen Titans Go.
Will we ever get to them all one day? No. Yeah, some of them we might. We've already done some of them.
We've done Billy and Mandy.
We have.
I know Courage the Cowardly Dog would be one for you.
It will be one for me. But I'm glad to see that the Powerpuff Girls would have been one you would have chosen, maybe, eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. In the same way that Shaolin Showdown for you was like, oh, I'm glad you picked this so that you don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've picked Powerpuff Girls now so I don't have to.
Delighted with that. But before we close up here, I did want to put a spotlight on the three girls.
Because we haven't already.
Of course we haven't, David. Not enough time. Who's your favourite?
No.
What do you
Brian,
mean,
I
no?
hate you. I was like, I hope he doesn't ask me who my favourite girl is. Because choosing who my favourite Powerpuff Girls is like you asking me to choose my favourite child. I cannot do it. I love them all equally.
Are they not your children?
They are my children. I am Professor Utonium, and they are my 3 girls. They are the perfect little girls. I don't have a favourite because I love them all equally.
Oh, that makes me really bad then, because I named Buttercup as my
I know
favourite.
you did. And I would have previously said Bubbles.
Bubbles.
If you had asked me that before I started rewatching it, I would have said Bubbles. But
David prefers Bubbles than everyone else.
now I would say I love all my girls equally.
I like my girls equally as well.
But you like Buttercup the most.
Probably because she's the coolest, do you know?
She is, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because she's black hair and she was
Like
hardcore.
we said at the start of God, because we're boys, okay? She's the most boyish.
Yeah, so
She's the coolest.
You'd be quicker to hang out with her.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be playing action figures with her, not dolls. Mm-hmm. Well, playing with dolls is cool. Is there anything about Buttercup that you like or you find interesting about her? Because one thing I wanted to include in that was how she gets encouragement from her blankie to fight.
I mean, she has the blankie. Bubbles has the octopus.
Yeah.
What does Blossom have?
Nothing. She's the most balanced and most grown up out of a lot of them.
I feel like she gets a lot of support from the adults more than the actual the childish toys.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Miss Bellum and Professor Utonium. But she doesn't have like a specific item that she resorts to. Well, she has her bow as well. You know, the other girls don't have any kind of fashion accessories.
Well, but see, that's what makes her stand out. She's got to be the tallest. Is there anything about Bubbles or Blossom that I don't know, like? Or
Well, there's nothing standoutish. Like, you know, the when it comes to Bubbles, like, I love the fact that she is, like you said, a little bit naive, but she's so kind-hearted as well.
contrast to when she thought she was Mojo Jojo and she was going all evil and
of course she's the one that would end up like that. Like if you had done that with Buttercup, you're like, oh yeah, you know, that makes sense because she's already close to it, whereas Bubbles is the complete opposite. I did love in the movie the fact that the reasoning behind the three girls' names, that the professor's like, oh, because you opened up to me, I'll name you Blossom, and then it's like, oh, because you're so light and airy, you're like Bubbles, and you Buttercup, because it also starts with a B. I just thought that was so funny because I was like, how's he gonna get to Buttercup here now from this one? And I thought that was so funny. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it does capture that part.
But no, like all of the girls, I think that they're perfect. I think that they all are unique, and even if you had all three of them look exactly the same and wear the same color, because of their personality, they would each stand out completely. That you could tell them apart.
But their hair colors and outfit colors are bang on.
Oh yeah, compliment them absolutely.
Absolutely, their hair color does complement their color, and even their flight color, like
the pink, the blue, and the green. Yeah,
exactly.
It's perfect. Even the fact that like each of them have the color, but they all have a black band. Yeah, and you could see that just being for Buttercup. You could see the black with the green.
Yeah,
and if the other two girls had something different, if Bubbles had blue and it was a white strap, you'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense that they kind of be on the opposite ends of the spectrum to each other.
But what would the red or the
I don't know, but it's the fact that they have that's consistent between all three girls. It's like the character design, you change it blue to pink to green, but like the general character design of their outfits, of their bodies is the same.
You know, when I was watching the movie, I was kind of thought, surely there must be a movie out there where someone encounters an extraterrestrial being and adopts them and tries to raise them as their own. Surely there's got to be something out there, because this is the closest thing to it. It's cool and interesting, and it's
because you could argue that the Mandalorian does that.
You're right. You're absolutely right. What is it with unexpected fathers of well-abled younglings?
And if you want to hear us talk about Mandalorian and Grogu, you can check out our other podcast, which is Talking Pictures Podcast, with the new episode on that this coming Wednesday.
Great plug.
Plug.
I'm delighted we talked about this.
So am I. Thank you so much for joining us for Saturday Morning Cartoon Club. We'll be back next month to talk about...
Now, about my sea monster.
Right. Listen, I'm sorry about that. I don't suppose a heartfelt apology would do.
Heartfelt? From you? Sinbad, you don't have a heart. That's what I like about you.
And if you don't know where that's from, that is from Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Clearly a David pick, because Brian, have you ever seen that movie before? Didn't think so.
You're breaking tradition.
I know, because you don't know this one at all.
We're not even doing Cartoon Network Nickelodeon or Disney.
No, we're going DreamWorks with this one.
And it's a theatrically released movie.
Yeah.
Before 3D animation?
Yeah, well, Brian, you just wait. You just wait, because we'll be talking about it, don't worry. To make sure to never miss an episode, make sure to subscribe to us on your favourite podcast platform and follow us on all of our social media, which can be found in the description down below. If you have any thoughts that you would like to share, that you want to hear read out about Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, send those in to smcc@anotherhappystudios.com. We also have another podcast, which is Talking Pictures Podcast, where we discuss the latest releases of movies and TV shows. So make sure to follow us there too, if you haven't already. This podcast is brought to you by Another Happy Studios, so please make sure to check out all the other podcasts in our network, which can all be found at anotherhappystudios.com or on the Another Happy Studios YouTube channel. That's all from us here at Saturday Morning Cartoon Club. All that's left to say is, chat to you later. And once again, the day is saved by David and Brian, the Powerpuff Boys.
And they'll be fighting crime, trying to save the world. They'll be done just in time.
The Powerpuff Girls.